Let's face it, some people are just not cut out for trading. They may not have the skill set or the passion required to make it as a trader. However, it's my view that although the vast majority of traders fail to achieve long-term success, most people, they don't fall into this category. And while there are certainly a number of factors to why people struggle to make it, possibly the biggest trading mistake you can make is self-deception. So let me give you an example of what I mean and see if it rings true for you. So you've had a few decent days where you've made some good money and traded well in your own mind. You think that you might just have turned the corner and then bam, you lose a load of money by failing to take your stops. Again, you try your hardest to figure out why this has happened to you time after time after time, and you consider quitting. You probably feel pretty terrible about yourself. And after a few days, the pain subsides a little and you decide to trade and prove to yourself that you really can take your stops. And you trade okay. You make a little bit of money and you take your stops when they come, and the cycle continues. Now, most people aren't dumb. They probably find it very easy to see this repetition in someone else's trading. But when it comes to themselves, people seem to be able to repeat the same mistakes over and over again. So what gives? Self-deception. Of course, this is entirely unintentional, but it's an easy trap to fall into. Let me highlight the most obvious piece in the puzzle. When the trader in the scenario I've just described eases back into trading, they're really trying extremely hard to ensure that they stick to their stops. Plus, they want to feel good about themselves after taking an emotional battering, and they make every effort to ensure they do what they already know they need to do in order to control risk, but they do this under highly controlled circumstances. Of course, you can't control the market, but the trader will focus on their risk and avoid threats in the market. By doing this, they never let themselves get into a situation where they're under severe duress. They're not practicing the very situation that has caused them to spiral out of control and lose a lot of money. But there's a more subtle piece of deception in the build-up to the meltdown. So when this trader is stringing together a few good days, almost invariably, they are not strictly adhering to the rules. Sure, they're making money, but they're also getting away with poor trading. Now, this is the kind of thing that only lasts so long before it comes back and bites you in the ass. Now, the critical thing here is that most people recognize that this is happening, but they sweep it aside as they're feeling pretty good about their trading. And so begins the self-deception. The subsequent self-deception behavior of the trader, where they go into a risk-centric trading mode, it's a big problem. The irony of it is, though if it's done for the right reason, I think most will understand that trading in this way can be a positive exercise. But it must be a core belief and a modus operandi, not a method to massage a bruised ego. If you can focus on risk first when trading, half of the battle, it's done. Complacency is something we must recognize, no matter who we are or what our experience level is. Part of experience is knowing when things don't feel quite right. These warning bells can go off at any time, and it's our job as traders to ensure we never ignore them. It takes some practice to heed these warnings and to act on only those that are a genuine threat. Simply heeding warning signals is not enough to lift the veil of self-deception. You need to actively monitor for these signals too. This means constantly measuring errors, mistakes, and rash behavior in spite of your P&L figures. You may think that if something doesn't cost you money in one instance, then it's not a problem. But if you're trying to assess these issues, you might be sitting on a ticking time bomb. Now, I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that you start trading bigger or under more volatile circumstances in order to learn. This would not be very sensible at all and would likely generate oversized losses. But you do need to simulate these circumstances somehow, and honestly, it's not an easy task. But one thing that might be useful is to practice your strategy on a simulator, either using a much faster moving product such as crude oil, or when you are much more likely to get extreme volatility, such as over the NFP release, with the express intent of trying to make pretend cash while also religiously sticking to your stops. Ultimately, fixing any particular trading issue usually isn't particularly easy, and it becomes far more difficult when you're constantly pulling the wool over your own eyes. Recognition of self-deception. It's the first step on the road to taking control of any situation.